it looked to me as I traveled when I was out with you in California, what it reminded me of more of a war scene where you had certain targets that were bombarded, where artillery was just blew them up. With no rhyme or reason. In other words, you'd have this fire going crazy and burning everything down and 3 houses being fine. Nothing's happening. Or neighborhoods that were still green. Still green. And next to a place that, for example, we're just looking at a Secret Service house that was out there. All the vehicles are melted. Yet the house next door still has green shrubbery on it. And, the house is fine. There's only, I think, 4 or 5 houses in that 200, it's in the Pasadena area. But my generic point is, it's almost like it's a battle scene.
Many people attribute the survival of a single house in an area otherwise decimated by these fires to luck or good fortune.
Yes, and by the way, if you notice you fly over in a helicopter, those places with good roofs, they didn't burn.
With the right materials.
Yeah. So we got to change that. Anyway.
We're dealing with a myriad of issues. I was just talking to Josh Green, the governor down in Hawaii, who had some ideas around some land use concerns he has around speculators coming in, buying up properties, and the like. So we're already working with our legal teams to move those things forward, and we'll be presenting those in a matter of days, not just weeks.
Because if you fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because it had the right roof on it. And anyway.
The FBI is hunting for the person who crashed their drone into one of the super scoopers battling the Palisades fire. The illegally operated drone put a hole in the wing of the plane and grounding it while the fire crew was trying to put out the fire. The FAA has imposed flight restrictions over the area, and the LA County District Attorney has promised to prosecute anyone who violates it.
So now on the board, we can tell you where we stand right now. Keep in mind, Monday night, Tuesday night especially, they're expecting the winds to pick up in a significant way. There were 2 fires still burning. This is the Eaton fire. That's around Pasadena, Altadena with Robert, the gentleman who was with us 30 minutes ago. That's 33% contained. Here on the Pacific Ocean, the Palisades fire, so much devastation, only 14% contained. And again, if the winds pick up 50, 60, 70 miles an hour in the next 48 hours, they can take those embers and blow them downstream in a significant way and cause further damage. Think about this right now. In the Pacific, their PCH leads to Malibu. This is what has burned in orange, gone. So all those pictures you see, all the aerial images you see of ash and dirt, that is in the orange area here. The red area is a mandatory evacuation, and the yellow area now in Pacific Palisades is a warning that they may have to get out too.
Who would have thought? We've all had a really big lesson.
What is it?
In that our experience of reality can change in a moment.
Well, I know they were messing with the water, letting reserves go for one reason or another. They've been doing that a while. California has a lot of problems that sort of baffle the mind as far as why they do things. And then in the events like this, you sort of look, well, is it on purpose? Which, it's an insane thing to think. But one begins to ponder whether or not there is a purpose in mind. What could it be, I don't know. Do they want the state empty? I don't know.
Because if it takes out Mandeville, it could take out Brentwood. It just come roaring down here.
To get your head around that when you're hearing this in January, a fire that's already taken out the Palisades.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought? We've all had a really big lesson.
What is it?
In that our experience of reality can change in a moment. And that's something that we just have to let God handle. That's, and I think there's a spiritual awakening on the other side of this, because it's going to make us all a little wiser and more compassionate.
This morning, Southern California wildfires putting firefighters to the test.
This is still a very active firefight.
The Encino and iconic Brentwood neighborhoods among those ordered to evacuate after the Palisades fire changed direction, spreading east. That dramatic shift in winds causing this, flames coming down the Mandeville Canyon. Firefighters are doing their best to save these nearby homes.
Right now, fire crews in Los Angeles racing to contain an out-of-control wildfire, bracing for more strong winds to threaten their progress. 16 victims are confirmed dead, and more than 100,000 remain evacuated.
Nearly 10 million people across Southern California are under a red flag warning and fire weather watch through Wednesday. Progress made by firefighters over the past few days could be in jeopardy.
These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in Los Angeles County high.
As the fires spread, over 150,000 people are under evacuation orders and 160,000 are under evacuation warnings. The Eaton fire has burned over 14,000 acres and destroyed and damaged 7,000 structures. The Palisades fire now expanding in other directions, leaving behind over 21,000 acres scorched.
Homes here in the Mandeville Canyon have burned as the Palisades fire rages on for hours with no clear end in sight.
When we first started out in this area about an hour ago, the air was relatively clear. Now the wind has shifted and now we're back in the smoke.
LA's police chief says a new task force will investigate the cause of the catastrophic fires.
This task force is made up of local, state, and federal partners designed to investigate the cause of these fires and to see if there's any connection between them.
On Saturday, law enforcement warned people who have been driving up to get a closer look at the blazes to stay away.
And they, on a moment's notice, will do it and put their lives on the line.
Final words, my friend. Do you want to give any comfort to your fellow neighbors here in Mandeville Canyon and the people, the thousands of people that are affected, whether they've lost their homes, forced to evacuate, or fearing that they will lose their homes?
Power of prayer is very powerful, and I would recommend that. And I'm praying for all of you, and if you're all praying for me, then that's a powerful thing. It really is.
We're in this together. Is that the bottom line here, sir?
What's that?
We are in this together. This is
That's
where
right.
the community is coming through.
That's
you may
right,
be
Paul.
Dennis Quaid, and I can talk him to the third person. He's not going to call me Robert Kovacic, because we are doing this together, right, Dennis? We are
Yeah,
in
that's
this
right.
together. This
Dennis
is
Quaid
community.
wants to put out the fire. That's right.
Dennis Quaid wants to put out the fire, and I know Dennis Quaid wants to go home.
It's not the day after tomorrow. It's today, okay? That's right.
It
All
is
right.
not. I won't ask you what you're wearing, and I won't ask you what your new project is. I won't ask you what the next film is. I promise I will skip all of that. But thank you for finding levity in what has been a very
It's a
dark
hell of
and
a red
bleak
carpet, isn't it?
Well, honestly, the entire perimeter is threatened. Although we are 11 and 15% containment for the Palisades and Eaton, respectively. The concern is these winds as they go back and forth. You know, Adam did a great job of pointing out all the weather of the Santa Ana winds. One of the elements that we look at as well, though, is that all that air ends up being a pocket off the ocean. Well, as soon as the winds stop, the winds go the other direction. So we've been dealing with these battling winds that threaten every inch of that line, which is why we're being so cautious with the containment percentage. But there are also population centers. Now, when we have 60 to 100 mile per hour winds like we saw on Tuesday and Wednesday, that's just simply not going to be sufficient, which is why we struggled so early on this fire, because it was just blowing so incredibly fast.
Okay, last question for you before we go, Chief. I asked you what you have available to you today. Is it satisfactory for what you need to fight these fires? You know, I don't want to push you into the blame game unless you feel like it's warranted. But if you look back on how prepared you guys were, what was made available to you in the beginning stages of these fires, do you feel like you were best served to fight these fires from the authorities in terms of water and everything else you need?
Yes, actually we did. We moved a number of resources from CAL FIRE from the north because they have sufficient rain and snow up there, all the way down to Southern California to prepare. We didn't know where the fires were going to be, so that as soon as we did have a fire break out, we immediately engaged.
Can I just say, excuse me, we have not met the star of the show. So can you guys stay with me? I'm my photographer, Susan Monroe, dog lover. Okay, Dennis, you didn't mention the star here.
Well, she was indisposed. This is my star. This is Peaches.
Peaches is safe?
Yeah, Peaches is safe, right, Peachy?
Peaches, keep an eye out, please, because I'm not sure he's going to be able to see out the back window. Turn your windshield wipers on because your car is covered with ash. It looks like a snowy day, and this is not Montana.
She reads my bugs. I'll see you later.
Bye, Dennis. Thank you. So, there you have it. Celebrities, Colleen and Michael, they're people just like us. And, you know, and it's fair just to sort of talk about the fact that there have been a number of celebrities that we know that have lost their homes, a number of celebrities who have been evacuated. And it is important to note that there will be a time, and we will see it during the award season, and we will see it in the coming months, and we'll see it in the coming years, that, you know, people that have a platform will be able to use this to be able to call and to remind people that this is going to be a very long procedure for our community to be rebuilt, and we're going to do it and do it together. But as we leave you, those firefighters that I talked about that had just arrived from Washington told me that they were waiting for their marching orders.
This was supposed to be the water to put out the Palisades fire. This is the Santa Ynez Reservoir. It's the water supply basically for the Palisades. When they first started fighting the Palisades fire, they ran out of water extremely quickly. Wednesday, 3 a.m., they were basically out. And there's been a lot of talk on why this happened. So how long has this reservoir been empty for?
Since February of last year. There was no communication from the Department of Water and Power to LAFD that there was a water supply issue.
The firefighters, when they started fighting the fires, no one informed them that the reservoir was empty. This reservoir holds 117 million gallons of water. The fire department was using a water supply from 3 backup tanks, each one only holding 1 million gallons of water. They say it's closed for maintenance to repair the lid that's on top of it. I don't know a lot about reservoir maintenance, but there's literally no construction materials or vehicles anywhere in sight. Also, with a reservoir like this, you can refill it or start to refill it. So another question is, if they saw the Santa Ana winds were coming and we have this remarkably dry wet season, why was there no attempt to start refilling it back up? I know I threw a lot out there, but I think we need some answers, guys.